The South African Democratic Teachers Union and the National Professional Teachers Organisation of South Africa said they have urged members to vaccinate and will soon formulate their decision on whether they fully support mandatory vaccinations in the coming days. Joining us now to discuss this is the General Secretary of Sadtu, Mugwena Maluleke. Mr. Maluleke, very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to The Full View.
Good evening, Butsimpe, and good evening to your viewers at home, and thank you for having us. We really appreciate the opportunity.
Well, you said that Sadtu said that the union's National Executive Committee was still to meet and deliberate on the issue of mandatory vaccinations, in particular within the teaching profession. So what have been the deliberations so far?
Well, the National Executive Committee is only meeting on the 17th to the 19th of December, and at that time we will then be deliberating on the issue of mandatory vaccination. For now, our stance has always been that we encourage everyone to vaccinate. The government has given us information, they've given us everything, they've given us the facilities, and so forth. We are encouraging and motivating our members to take the vaccine because vaccines do work. However, we haven't decided on the mandatory part of the vaccine, even if we know that this is a matter that is occupying each and every global debate where we are participating, and indeed that's why we need to discuss it with the view of saying, is it not time for us to be able to not think about myself, but think about the public good, think about the common good of others. And when I take a decision, this decision should not be about myself only, but it should be about everyone else, and therefore be encouraged to go and vaccinate. So the mandatory part will also depend on the task team that has been established by the state president. We shall also be guided by the outcome of that kind of a survey or a research that is going to be conducted.
What is the general sentiment, though, from the teachers? Are they for or against mandatory vaccinations?
Well, so far the teachers are for vaccination, and some of them are saying we cannot work with those who are not vaccinated, basically making it very difficult for the management of the schools, but also for the management by the Department of Education to create a conducive environment, a safe environment in terms of the law, because an employer has got to make sure that the environment is not hazard, the environment is not a threat to you, and then it does not put you into danger. So those are beginning to create those particular concerning relationship that we see, and we do not believe that we are at that particular stage where we should begin to see stigma in our country. We're coming from that particular era of the stigma during the HIV. We don't want to see that now, but it is very difficult where a teacher says, I cannot share the staff room with another one who has not been vaccinated. What does that mean? The employer has got to intervene around those things. So majority of our teachers have vaccinated, and that's why we are encouraging the rest that are remaining to also take information that is there on their doorstep and make an informed decision.
I suppose we need to focus then on the nature of those interventions. When you say that some teachers who do not want to get vaccinated and then the employer needs to intervene, what sort of interventions or punitive measures, as it were, will you impose on those dissenting teachers?
Well, because we are not an employer as a union, obviously, in terms of the law in this country, you cannot put punitive measures on those who are not vaccinated. The only thing that you can do is to encourage them and give them more information, educate each other, and make sure that they can see the statistics in terms of what is happening in the country, in the world. The numbers are not lying. Those who are vaccinated are really not being adversely affected, and those who are not vaccinated are now going to fill our hospitals, and obviously it is impacting on our families and everyone else. So basically, we see in other countries where lockdown is only imposed on those who are not vaccinated. This is inevitable. In this country, we don't know what the task team is going to say, but the task team may end up saying, look, the only people you need to limit their movement, they must not go to this particular place, then that particular place, and so forth. So limiting the freedom of those who are not vaccinated so that they don't put or endanger the others who have really taken a decision in the interest of the common good.
Let's speak long-term here, Maluleke. You say that you will continue encouraging and educating more teachers to get vaccinated and, talk about the effects, or rather the importance of getting vaccinated. But I suppose there are still those teachers who still stand their grounds that they will not get vaccinated for a variety of reasons. It could be religious beliefs, it could be, health reasons. Some are even allergic to needles, as I've heard some saying. So what are you going to do to those? Are you going to, disrespect their rights of getting vaccinated or not getting vaccinated, as it were?
Now, you'll not disrespect their rights. You will not, trample over their rights. But at the end of the day, it's going to be up to that particular individual. What is inevitable here, and I think we have been saying it is that those who are not vaccinated will not be charged. They will not be subjected to any disciplinary hearing, but they will dispose themselves. And that in itself you cannot blame anybody. When we're driving in the same car and we're supposed to go to a workshop and I say, no, I cannot drive with a person who's not vaccinated. But at the same time, you're supposed to attend that particular workshop. Think what is going to happen to you. What's going to happen to you is that you are not able to perform your functions, and therefore operational requirements will then kick in terms of capacity for you not being able to do your work. It's not punitive. In that particular way, it is that you have made a decision that you will dispose yourself.
Well, the so-called anti-vax gang, or those who are against vaccinations, have raised repeatedly the issue or the speech of President Cyril Ramaphosa, which he made last year, that nobody will be forced to vaccinate and nobody will be prevented to going anywhere in South Africa or engaging in any public activity if they choose not to get vaccinated. So is SADTU considering that particular stance by the president? What happened to it?
Well, the president has got to comply with the constitution of our country, and therefore, because those rights are enshrined in the constitution, the president had to say that. But the world is not an island. The world is interconnected, and therefore, if the world moves on and say you cannot enter this particular country unless you are vaccinated, the question would be, will you still be able to perform your duties if your work is about traveling and so forth? And then what happens when we start seeing restaurants in the country saying, if you don't produce a green pass in terms of vaccination, you cannot be assisted. Some of the doctors are beginning to say that I cannot, treat anybody who is not vaccinated. So are we saying that these doctors are discriminating them? No, they're protecting everybody. They're protecting those who have taken a decision to vaccinate so that they protect others. So the issue here is that we encourage members to say, look, go see your doctor. If your doctor advises you not to vaccinate, it's okay. And obviously, if it's about religious right as well, please examine the ingredients of this particular vaccine. Is it against your religious beliefs and so forth? And so that be informed, so that you have got a tangible reason why you are not being vaccinated. It shouldn't be just because that you just say it's my right, because every right is limited. My rights are limited, your rights are limited, but at the end of the day, it is that my rights must not be above any other right in terms of protecting the lives of our people and the livelihoods of our people. So instead of even talking about mandatory vaccine, we should really be saying, let's defeat misinformation, disinformation, and fake news, and those anti-vaxxers who really are not presenting any scientific argument except to say it is my right. We need to begin to talk about common good. We need to talk about other people rather than only my rights and so forth. So this debate has got to be really elevated to where we talk about what about everyone else? What about the economy? What about the livelihoods of our people? What about the lives that we are losing? What about the hospitals that are overwhelmed and so forth? So that we are able to then say, in the best interest of our country and the best interest of the world, we need to really cooperate. And those who obviously may not be eligible for vaccination because of their comorbidities or any other condition, let it be so, because of their doctors have said so, but not because I have had somebody in the street who was saying this thing is not working and so forth, because we see people are dying.
All right, Mr. Mugwena Maluleke, lovely chatting to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Sir, thank you, sir.
That was Mugwena Maluleke, the South African Democratic Teachers Union General Secretary, just sharing with us his thoughts on the possible mandatory vaccinations amongst the teacher profession. And he said that they will soon formulate the decision on whether they fully support the mandatory vaccination.